Hello everyone. Namaste to all future gadgeted officers. Welcome back to our weekly series of current affairs, science and technology. This is part 4 of our weekly series covering updates from the 23rd to 30th September 2025. We have already covered 29 updates in the first three parts, and in the final part, we will complete all 40 key updates that are extremely important for UPSC, BPSC, State PCS, Staff Selection Commission, Banking, and other competitive exams. So, my dear aspirant, stay tuned till the end. We will not only discuss prelims and main related points, but also do a one-liner quick recap for easy revision. So let's dive into the next update. Next update is UAE launches sovereign mobility cloud for autonomous transport. UAE has introduced, Union Arab Emirates has introduced its first sovereign mobility cloud at the Dubai World Congress for self-driving transport in 2025. It is for self-driving transport in 2025. So it marks advancement in the UAE autonomous mobility ambition. It was developed with Core's 25 sovereign policy cloud, Core's 42 Core 42 Sovereign Policy Cloud and powered by Microsoft Azure. So there is a collaboration of Core 42 Sovereign Public Cloud and it is powered by Microsoft Azure. It creates a secure digital infrastructure that hosts all data within UAE under national laws. So it aims to accelerate autonomous transport while ensuring safety, compliance, and innovation. About Sovereign Mobility Cloud, it is a secured digital platform which is designed for next generation transport. So it supports high definition mapping, telematics, fleet management, traffic control, and digital twins. All data remains within the UAE governed by strict national regulation. It ensures data sovereignty and builds trust among stakeholders. अब key features and capabilities. In the cloud enables live traffic management, fleet tracking, integration of autonomous vehicles, encourage innovation, regulate. It offers regulatory sandboxes and test hubs to encourage innovation. The platform supports collaboration between government bodies, industries, and research organizations. Technology partners and deployments. Core 42 provide the sovereign cloud infrastructure with Microsoft Azure powering it. Space 42 leads the deployment through pilot projects and commercial rollouts. Space 42's TXAI autonomous service has already logged 6 lakh kilometers and completed 20,000 passenger trip without any incidents. So this experience underpins the cloud operational secure framework. Impact on autonomous mobility ecosystem by linking regulators, automatic firms, and academic infrastructures, it ensure compliance with safety standards and support scalability of autonomous solution. The platform promotes innovation while protecting data sovereignty, positioning the UAE as a global leader in intelligent transport infrastructures. Strategic importance of data sovereignty by hosting all transport data within its border. UAE are able to safeguard national security, provide national security and privacy. Data sovereignty is important for trust in autonomous system. This platform also provide new standard for how countries can govern data in emerging mobility technologies. So one liner recap, the UAE has launched its sovereign mobility cloud. This cloud is to manage and secure data for autonomous vehicles, marking a major step toward artificial intelligence driven transport infrastructure and reinforcing data sovereignty and smart mobility goals under the UAE Artificial Intelligence Strategy 2031. Prelims question is given. The Sovereign Mobility Cloud initiative recently launched by the UAE is primarily related to. So, answer is given smart infrastructure and autonomous transport. Which country launched the Sovereign Mobility Cloud for managing autonomous and connected vehicle data? The Sovereign Mobility Cloud aims to store and analyze data for autonomous vehicle locally. Next question is the UAE Sovereign Mobility Cloud will play an important role in achieving which national initiative? So it national is UAE Artificial Intelligence Strategy 2031. Which are the following best explain the term sovereign cloud? So just read sovereign cloud, which is governed by national laws and hosted domestically. It is true one. The main question are given. Kindly practice. Next news is rise of increase of drug resistant bacteria in the bacteria drug resistant, antibiotic resistant in the United States. United States has witnesses sharp increase in infection caused by drug resistant bacteria. These bacteria are antibiotic resistance, particularly those carrying the New Delhi, carry the New Delhi, India metallo-B-lactamose gene. So the gene name is a metallo-B-lactacose NDM gene, which is transferred to India. Between 2029 and 23, cases increased by nearly 70%, raising public health concern. This trend is a part of broader global challenge involving antimicrobial resistance. Current situation in the United States, data from 29 states reveal 4,341 carbapenem resistant bacteria infection in 2023. Of these, 1,831 cases involved bacteria with NDM gene, metallobilactamase gene. So these bacteria severely limit treatment option as they can resist carbapenems, which is the last line of defense antibiotics. This rise in NDM gene cases alone increased by 460% from 2019 to 2023. So many carriers remain undetected, increasing the risk of community spreads. So these are the antibiotic names are given. This bacteria antibiotic resistance. A name of the bacteria is E. coli, and this name of the all bacteria are given in the slide. What are the mechanism of drug resistance? Bacteria develop resistance by evolving mechanism to neutralize antibiotics. Misuse of antibiotics such as incomplete treatment courses on or unnecessary prescription accelerate this. Resistant bacteria survive, grow, multiply, and pass resistant genes to other bacteria. So these evolution makes infection harder to treat and control, difficult to treat and control. Impact of COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic contributed to the increase in resistant infection, increased antibiotic use during COVID-19, increase likely boosted resistance rates. It is also one of the reason. Overburdened healthcare system and increased hospital stays may also increase the spread of resistant strains. Current data may underestimate the problem due to limited testing. Testing are limited and reporting, especially in populous states like California, New York. Recognizing carbapenem resistant infection. Symptom of this infection mimic copy common bacterial illness, complicating early detection. So warning signals includes burning during urination, cloudy urine for urinary UTI, fever and low blood pressure for bloodstream infection, and cough or chest pain for pneumonia. So prompt diagnosis is critical for effective management. About global perspective on NDM bacteria, it is NDM producing bacteria are widespread globally but vary regionally. South Asia, especially India and Pakistan, show the high prevalence due to antibiotic overuse and crowded hospital. Southern Europe report more cases than Northern Europe, where infection control is stronger. Africa and Latin America face challenges also due to weak health system and poor sanitation. So the ease of bacterial spread through travel, through food and animals make this a worldwide health security concern. Challenges, there are many challenges in containment and control. Containment and controls, limited diagnostic capacity and inconsistent antibiotic regulation, Strong infection prevention, antibiotic stewardship, and public awareness are important. Surveillance and reporting must improve to track and respond to outbreaks effectively. So, one liner recap is United States is witnessing an increase in drug-resistant bacteria driven by antibiotic overuse and poor infection control, highlighting the urgent global need for antimicrobial stewardship and One Health strategy to combat AMR. And the rise of drug resistant bacteria is primarily associated with overuse and misuse of antibiotics, which organization monitor antibiotic trends globally, WHO. Superbugs refers to bacteria resistant to multiple antibiotics. Which of the following bacteria is most commonly linked to hospital acquired and antibiotic resistant? The most commonly bacteria is Staphylococcus aureus, which global initiative addresses antimicrobial resistance AMR on One Health approach. Means question are given, kindly practice. Prevalence about the ARB is given, antimicrobial resistant bacteria. So prevalence mechanism is given and prevention strategies are given. Emerging management is required. Prevalence in Africa, Asia, North America, South America, and Oceania. Emerging management is required because of the adding biochar to pig and manure composting using omics technology for enhanced detection of antimicrobial rising bacteria. Now, next news is India's CSIR capacity building scheme. The government of India has approved a major scheme to strengthen scientific research and human resource development. The Department of Science, Scientific and Industrial Research (DSIR), the Department of Scientific and Industrial Research and the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research will implement this initiative. So it spanned the 15 financial commission cycle from 2021 to 22 to 2025 to 26 with a budget of rupees 2,277.397 crore. So it aims to enhance India research capacity and innovation ecosystem. Overview of this scheme. The Capacity Building and Human Resource Development CBHRD scheme covers all major research and academic institutions in India. So this includes laboratories, institution of nationally important institute of eminence in university. So the scheme supports young researchers and scientists across science, technology, engineering, medical, and mathematical science, STEM. So it provides fellowship grants, awards to nurture talent and promote cutting edge research. Key components of CBHRD consist of four sub schemes: doctoral and postdoctoral fellowship, extramural research, emeritus scientist, and Bhatnagar Fellowship Program, award for promoting and recognizing scientific excellence, travel and symposia grants to facilitate knowledge sharing and collaboration nationally and internationally. So these are the key components of CBHRD. Now, impacts of India's scientific landscape. This scheme contribute to increase the number of researchers to increase the number of researchers per million population. It supports India progress towards sustainable development goals in the field of science and technology. So India's global ranking in the Global Innovation Index improved. Innovation Index improved to 39th in 2024, reflecting enhanced research output. So the country is among the top three in the scientific paper publication worldwide as per the National Science Foundation USA. The scheme also accelerated India research and development capabilities and innovation potential. Role of CSIR and government vision. CSIR with 84 years of service is the key implementing agency. To build a strong government's vision is to build a strong innovation ecosystem driven by research excellence. So India is a global leader in science and technology in the 21st century. It is a motto. So it encourages collaboration among academia, industry, and research institutions. Support for young researchers, guidance from eminent scientists and professors ensure quality mentorships. This supports aims to retain talent and encourage innovative solutions to national and global challenges. Prelims question is given. Can you pause the video and practice all the question is given? When was CSIR established in the year 1942? Mains question is given. Can you practice? Three questions are given. One liner recap. CSIR capacity building scheme aims to empower scientists, enhance research infrastructure, and foster innovation to boost India's self-reliance in science and technology. So CSIR full form is the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Next news is India's solar potential and manufacturing capacity surge. India's solar power boom is just getting started. So India's solar sector is experiencing rapid growth increase, which is marked by its increase in its solar manufacturing capacity and its increased contribution to the country's total solar power capacity. The solar module manufacturing capacity more than doubled from 38 gigawatt to 74 gigawatt between March 2024 to March 2025, while a PV cell capacity grew from 9 gigawatt to 25 gigawatt in the same period. So, these increases driven by government policies like basic custom duty on imports and the production linked incentive scheme. It aims to boost domestic production and reduce import dependency. Solar manufacturing capacity modules capacity jumped from 38 gigawatt to 74 gigawatt March 2025. From March 2024, it was 38 gigawatt. In March 2025, it is now in this year 74 gigawatt. PV cell also increased 9 gigawatt to 25 gigawatt during the same 1 year period. Ingot wafer also initiated local manufacturing of ingot and wafer with a 2 gigawatt capacity. Future outlook: India's solar module manufacturing capacity is projected to reach 110 gigawatt by the year 2026 and expected to reach 200 gigawatt by physical year uh, 2028. So India is advancing, increasing more rapidly in clean energy with new initiative in solar power. So the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy MNRE recently released an updated solar PV potential assessment reports alongside the first training program on solar cell and module manufacturing was launched at the National Institute of Solar Cell, Gurugram. So this step aims to boost India target 500 gigawatt non-fossil fuel capacity by 2030 and achieve energy independence by 2047. So India's solar resources are among the richest globally with irradiance between 3.5 and 5.5 kilowatt hour per meter square per day. So the new report by NISE use high resolution GIS satellite data and land use models to assess ground mounted solar PV potential. So it estimated feasible capacity of approximately 3,344 gigawatt per, which much higher than the 2014 figure to 749 gigawatt per. So this reports integrates technical efforts like shading, spacing, and proximity to infrastructure, offering a practical guide for policymaker and investor. The potential spans beyond deserts in Rajasthan and Gujarat to many other states with favorable solar condition and land availability. Rajasthan and Gujarat with to many other states with favorable solar condition and land availability. About policy and government support is a basic custom duty. So implemented on imported cell and modules since April 2022 to encourage domestic production. Next policy is production linked incentive PLI scheme, encouraging integrated manufacturing from polysilicon to modules. Next is a mandatory Indian made panels. So government policy required the use of domestically manufactured solar panels for government backed projects. Impact on energy goals and impact on non-fossil fuel capacity. India has achieved a significant milestone in renewable, making up 50.07% of its total installed power capacity, ahead of its 2020-2030 COP 26 target. So its impact on non-fossil fuel capacity, its increase in renewable, making up 50.07% of its total installed power capacity, ahead of its 2030 COP 26 target. Solar power generation: India became the world's third largest solar power producer in 2025, surpassing Japan. The country is on track to reach its target of 500 gigawatt of clean energy by 2030 and net zero by 2070. So the 51 solar parks to boost energy in India is given in Gujarat. Number of parks, 7, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, Odisha, Kerala, Chhattisgarh, Mizoram. So number of parks in Gujarat is 7 and Rajasthan 9, and then Madhya Pradesh it is 8. So about COP26, which was held in Glasgow, Scotland in 2021, was the 26th annual United Nations Climate Summit. COP26 is the United Nations Climate Summits where leaders from how many countries? 200 countries came together to accelerate action toward the goal of the 2015 Paris Agreement. So the meeting produced a Glasgow Climate Pact, an agreement that called for stronger national commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Key goals and outcome of COP26 is key goals of C26 included securing global net zero emission carbon emission by mid-century to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, finalizing the rules for implementing the Paris agreements and accelerating the phase down of fuels. Fossil fuels. For the first time in a COP agreement, the Glasgow Climate Pact explicitly called for a phase down of unabated power and the phase out of inefficient fossil fuel subsidy. Significant outcome included over 100 countries signing a pledge to collectively cut global methane emission by 30% by 2030, and more than 140 countries committed to halt and reverse deforestation and land degradation by 2030. So developed countries were asked to double financial support for climate adaptation in developing countries by 2040. India also announced a pledge to reach net zero carbon emission by 2070. So there are some criticism and challenges about COP26. The final language on phasing out coal was weakened at the last minute. National targets were considered insufficient to meet the 105-degree Celsius goal. There was a lack of accountability. Concerns were raised about unequal representation for developing countries. Developed countries had not yet delivered on their $100 billion annual climate finance promise. So these are the challenges. Now, prelims question: given what is India current installed solar power capacity as of 2025 is 82 gigawatt. So, making India one of the top five solar power producer globally. What is the target of India under National Solar Mission by 2030? So, to achieve 280 gigawatt of solar power capacity as part of 500 gigawatt renewable energy goal, which scheme support the expansion of domestic solar module and cell manufacturing, production link incentive PLI scheme for high efficiency solar PV modules. What percentage of India's total power generation capacity comes from renewable energy? Around 43%. Which state currently leads in solar power generation in India? Rajasthan, followed by Gujarat and Karnataka. Mains question are given. One liner is India's solar energy sector is witnessing a massive surge with record manufacturing capacity and expanding renewable installation, posting the nation as a global solar powerhouse driving clean energy transition. Next news is India expand telecom security testing laboratory network. So India has recently expanded its telecom security testing infrastructure by designating MIS Compliance International Private Limited, Noida, as a telecom security testing laboratory, TSTL, for IP routers under the Communication Security Certification COMSEC scheme, Community Security Certification COMSEM scheme. So these addition raises the total number of TSLTLs in India to 9. So these labs are spread across how many states? 5 states, and provide faster, cost-effective testing services to manufacturers and service providers. About National Center for Communication Security and CCS operate under the Department of Telecommunication, responsible for implementing security testing and certification of telecom and ICT products in India. So the center runs the Communication Security Certification Scheme, COMSEC, which ensure that telecom equipment meets a mandatory security standard before use or sale in the country. So, Communication Securities Certification Scheme (COMSEC) is a part of the border mandatory testing and certification of telecom equipment (MTCTE) framework. Initially notified in the year 2017, the scheme was updated under the Telecommunication Framework to Notify Standard Conformity Assessment and Certification Rule 2025. So it mandates that all telecom equipment imported, sold, or used in India must undergo security testing certification through designated laboratories. Role and research of telecom security testing laboratories. The nine telecom security testing laboratories are located in Karnataka, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra. Karnataka, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra. They provide pan-India access to security testing. This network allows original equipment manufacturers, importers, and service providers to test their product closer to their operational basis. That it reduces time cost involved in compliance testing. Scope of security testing: this laboratory are authorized to test how many categories? 27 categories of telecom equipments. This includes IP routers, Wi-Fi customers, premises equipments, CPEs, optical line terminals, OLTs, optical network terminals, ONTs, and 23 network function of the 5G core. So, security testing of multiple telecom product is actively ongoing in these labs. Government vision and industry impact: the expansion of TSTL support the Government of India vision to position the country as a global hub for telecom security testing and certification. It also strengthens the ecosystem, which enhances the national telecom security and boosts the domestic manufacturing and services sector by ensuring compliance with international standards. So, prelims question: which organization is responsible for stabilizing telecom security testing laboratory in India? It is TEC, Telecommunication Engineering Center under the Department of Telecommunication (DOT). What is the main objective of telecom security testing laboratories, TSTLs? To test the certified telecom products and equipment of cybersecurity and reliability, ensuring network safety and national security. Next question: under which initiative is expansion of telecom security lab being implemented? Trusted Telecom Portal Initiative. Trusted Telecom Portal Initiative. Portal is name is a Trusted Telecom Portal Initiative and National Cybersecurity Policy Framework. What type of telecom equipment are tested in these labs? 5G equipments, routers, IoT devices, core network components, and other critical telecom hardware. Which government body accredits this testing lab in India? It is NABL, National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories. Main question are given. One liner recap: India expansion of telecom security testing laboratory enhances cyber resilience, safeguarding 5G and IoT infrastructure, and strengthens national digital security under the Trusted Telecom framework. Next is India roadmap to fusion power and SST Bharat sector. Fusion power, India's roadmap to doing the fusion between power and SST Bharat sector. So India is doing advancement in the field of nuclear fusion research with a detailed plan to develop the steady state superconducting tokamak Bharat, SST Bharat. This fusion this fusion fission hybrid reactors aims to generate 130 megawatt of power with 100 megawatt from fission and 30 megawatt from fusion. 100 megawatt from fission and 30 from fusion megawatt. So targeting a power output 5 times the input, targeting a power outputs which is 5 times more than the input. So this project envisages a commissioning a full-scale demonstration reactor by 2060 with an ambitious output to input ratio of 20 and a power output of 250 megawatt. So fusion power and its advantages. What is fusion? So fusion is a process where two atomic nuclei combine to form a heavier nucleus, releasing vast energy. Releasing vast energy, means of fusion is nuclear fission is given. So combining of two lighter nuclei and to form a heavier nucleus which is releasing a large amount of vast energy. So it powers stars and offer a cleaner alternative to nuclear fission. Fission means breakdown, and fusion means combination. So fusion produces less radioactive waste, reducing storage and environmental concern. These are the advantages of fusion. However, fusion requires extreme conditions such as temperature exceeding 100 million degrees Celsius to sustain fusion reaction. About fusion technologies, magnetic and inertial confinement, the two main methods to achieve fusion: inertial confinement and magnetic confinement. Inertial confinement uses powerful laser to compress fuel capsule rapidly. About magnetic confinement, the approach India pursue involves heating plasma and controlling it with a magnetic field inside a tokamak reactor. The name of the reactor is tokamak reactors. So India participate in the global ITR project, which focuses on magnetic confinement and aims to reach a power gain factor of 10. India's tokamak progress and SST Bharat, India's current tokamak and SST-1 can maintain plasma for up to 650 millisecond with a design target of 16 minutes. SST Bharat is a planned as the next step aiming for continuous and efficient fusion energy production. So the success of tokamak depends on plasma confinement, duration and stability, which directly impact energy output and reactor efficiency. About innovation, digital twins and machine learning, researchers propose using digital twins, virtual models of physical reactors to simulate real-time plasma behavior and optimize design. Machine learning will assist plasma confinement and control. There is development of radiation-resistant material, which is also a priority to enhance reactor longevity. So, this technology are important for overcoming technical challenges and reducing cost. About global fusion landscape in India's timeline, the internationally fusion project vary in timelines. United Kingdom step program target a prototype by 2040, and some United States private firms aim for operational fusion parts in the 2030s. China's East Tokamak already holds plasma duration records. India's 2060 target is more cautious but focuses on steady progress through public funding and international partnership. There are challenges in economic viability and policy. So fusion powers economic feasibility and remains unproven due to high research, construction, and operational high cost. So India's fusion program faces competition from expanding renewable energy sources and existing nuclear fusion plants. Limited private sector involvement contrast with global trends. Expert caution that fusion timelines are more often optimistic, that affordable fusion power is not guaranteed soon. About strategic and scientific benefits, despite many uncertainties, fusion research drives advancement in superconducting magnets, plasma physics, and material science. So these innovations can boost India's technology autonomy and industrial capabilities. So collaboration with ITER and global entities may enhance expertise and accelerate progress in fusion energy and related fields. Prelims question is given: what is the full form of SST Bharat in India's fusion research program? SST Bharat, Steady State Superconducting Tokamak Bharat. SST Steady State Superconducting Tokamak Bharat. Which organization is developing the SST Bharat reactor? Institute for Plasma Research and Gandhinagar, Gujarat, under the Department of Atomic Energy, DIE. What is the main goal of SST Bharat project? To develop a fusion-grade tokamak reactor capable of sustaining long duration plasma operation, paving the way to future fusion power plants, which international fusion projects India is a key partner in. ITER, International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor Project in France. What is the primarily fuel used in nuclear fusion reactor like SST Bharat and ITR? Used is deuterium and tritium isotopes of which are isotopes of hydrogen. One liner recap. India main question are given. Kindly practice. One liner recap: India's SST Bharat reactors marks a major step in indigenous fusion research, advancing long duration plasma confinement and strengthening the nation path toward clean, limitless fusion energy. Next news is Himalayan environmental changes. The main environmental changes are in Himalayas are climate change, leading to leading to glacier melt and increased natural disaster, habitat loss, biodiversity reduction due to deforestation, cutting of trees, and unsustainable development, and impacts from infrastructure projects like hydropower power and increase of tourism. Climate change also aggravate the region natural fragility when human activities like deforestation, pollution, and construction add to existing problems, threatening the ecosystem and livelihoods dependent on them. About climate change and natural disasters, there is a rapid glacier melt, increased disasters, and extreme weather. There is also habitat loss and biodiversity because of deforestation. Species endangerment is also there, like snow leopards and red panda, which is threatening unique species. Ecosystem disruption is also there, which is altering flowering times and migration pattern, which disturb food webs and ecological instruction. About unsustainable development in infrastructure, deforestation and erosions, uncontrolled tourism, and hydropower projects. These are the reasons. Next news is India first maritime simulation center inaugurated. India's maritime education took a leap forward advancement in 2025 with the inauguration of country's first maritime simulation center, which is located at AMET Knowledge Park near Chennai, Tamil Nadu. India's first maritime simulation center located at AMET Knowledge Park near Chennai, Tamil Nadu. This center is a result of a strategic partnership between Academy of Maritime Education and Training (AMET) and global shipping giant AP Moller Mars. So this facility features cutting edge technology to provide immersive hands-on training for future seafarers. For future seafarers. About state-of-art maritime training facilities, it is equipped with full mission simulators for both deck and engine operation. It includes chart display and information system, ECDIS, and advanced augmented reality, virtual reality, AR, or VR labs. These technologies simulates real-world maritime scenarios, enabling cadets to practice navigation, collision avoidance, watchkeeping, steering, and engine troubleshooting in a controlled environment by simulating real-world maritime scenarios. Strategic collaboration between AMET and MERS. The center was established through a partnership between AMET's academic expertise and MAT's industry experience through project involvement investment of INR 13.5 crore with funding from AP Moller Foundation. So this collaboration builds on over 25 years of joint efforts to improve maritime education and professional development in India. About enhancement in practical skill for global shipping, so it bridges the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical skill. Cadets gain experience in handling complex maritime tasks before they embark on actual sea voyages. So this hands-on training prepares them to meet international standard and challenges in the shipping industry, boosting India's stature as a maritime nation. About MET's role in maritime education, founded in 1993, MET is India's first maritime university and has grown into a globally recognized institution. It offers diverse maritime and elite courses to over 5,000 students with a strong alumni network of more than 27,000 professionals worldwide. MET continues to lead in maritime education and research. Max commitment to industry development. Max is a global leader in logistics and CP. It supports the center as a part of its broader commitment to sustainability and talent development. This company aims to achieve net zero emission by 2040, and this company also invests in training infrastructure to cultivate skilled maritime professionals who can operate in a rapidly evolving maritime industry. About future impact on India's maritime sector, so this maritime simulation center is expected to revolutionize maritime training in India. So it will produce competent seafarers ready for modern shipping challenges and contribute to the growth of maritime sector nationally and internationally. And it also provides make India's position in global maritime trade and education. Next news is India's advancement weather forecasting with DBNet station. So National Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting and NCMRWF National Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting and New Space India Limited NSIL have joined forces to improve India's weather prediction capabilities. So these collaboration under the mission Mosam project involves setting up two direct broadcast network DBNet station in Delhi NCR and Chennai. So these stations will enable real-time satellite data reception and processing from low Earth orbits with the help of low Earth orbit satellites. So this initiative marks a step in improving weather forecast, cyclone monitoring, and climate research in India and globally. About DBNet and its role in weather forecasting. DBNet is a global system designed to receive satellite data directly as satellites passed overhead. So this immediate data capture reduce delays common in traditional satellite data methods. By processing data within minutes, DBNet support numerical weather prediction models that require timely and accurate inputs. The system enhances short to medium range forecast and help in disaster risk management. About infrastructure and coverage, the two DBNet stations will establish in Delhi NCR and Chennai. So these locations cover a broad geographical area important for India's weather forecasting and monitoring. So the station will receive data from Indian International Earth Observing System EOA satellites. EOA satellites such as OceanSat, NOAA, and METO. The design will allow future integration of next generation satellites, ensuring scalability and long term relevance. Benefits of real time data acquisition. The direct broadcast method eliminate the latency caused by routing data through central ground station. So this leads to faster availability of satellite information. So NCMRWF aims to complete data processing within 5 minutes of satellite overpass. Now, next about the global collaboration and data sharing. So, India's DBNet initiative aligns with WMO satellite data policy, World Meteorological Organization satellite data policy. So, it processed data will be shared internationally via the WMO information system 2.0, WIS 2.0. This strengthens India's role in global weather prediction efforts and support international users with timely Earth observation data. So this initiative contributes to improving global DBNet coverage and enhances climate monitoring worldwide. So early warning system benefit from timely satellite information. Climate researchers gain access to high resolution data supporting long-term studies. The DBNet station will thus play important role in reducing different type of disaster risk and also increase the scientific understanding of weather and climate. Next news is India expand telecom security testing laboratory network. So India has recently expanded its telecom security testing infrastructure by designated MS Compliance International Private Limited Noida as a telecom security testing laboratory for IP routers under the Communication Security Certification COMSEM scheme. So this addition raises the total of TSL in India to 9. So this we have learned in the previous also. So NCCS operate under the Department of Telecommunication. So we have learned, and then next video I'm going to upload the next series. So kindly watch the next series, maintain consistency. Keep revising all the updates.